What's up, Danksters? Welcome back to a brand new video in the spooky season, and today we're going to be covering the Dead Rising Remake, Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. Now, actually, a couple months ago, I did a review on the original version of Dead Rising in preparation for this video. I recommend you watch that video first because not only will I not be covering the story in this video because I've already covered the story and the story stays mostly the same, but you should also watch it so you can appreciate the game a lot better. So almost 20 years later, Capcom finally decided to release Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, essentially a remake of the first Dead Rising game. And the amount of changes they made are plentiful, some for the better, and some that are just questionable, and I go, why did they do that? I'll start with the stuff that I thought was good first, and then I'll move on to the bad stuff. I'm a more positive guy, so I want to start with all the good stuff that I loved about the remake. Well, just a few noteworthy things that I caught. First of all, just to obviously get the jumping hardware out of the way, this game looks fantastic. I don't know how the fucking RE engine can keep pumping these gorgeous games out. Capcom's RE engine is that little engine that could, and they do a fantastic job of porting the original Dead Rising over to the RE engine. The mall is just straight up gorgeous in this remake. Honestly, it looks really fucking good. The amount of lighting and color makes the whole thing pop out, and I even love that they give certain plazas certain themes. Like Paradise Plaza, for example, it's kind of got this ocean vibe going with it. And with the neon lights everywhere around it, makes it pop. But on the contrast though, I also love how dirty the mall looks. Now, it's pretty common if you go to an American mall that, yes, while the cleaning is supreme in those malls, they're pretty dirty once you get inside them. So I love that Capcom has reflected that with the Willamette Mall. It makes it feel used, it makes it feel shopped in, it makes it feel like people were actually here before an infection started. One of my biggest gripes about the original Dead Rising game, even though I didn't mention it in my video, but I mentioned it in the Off the Dome video I did about this remake, is that I hated how clean the mall looked. It just didn't seem realistic. But Capcom has went and fixed that, and yeah, this mall is atrocious. In fact, it might be a little too dirty in points, but I don't really care about that. I think this is a beautiful detail. God damn, Capcom, the RE engine here is on full display, and you can definitely tell with some of the lighting that some of the areas have gotten. Like in the food court, with how the sun beams in through the windows, really shining in, making the whole place look really fucking good. And the outside area, I'm like really impressed that they were able to render all of this without losing any frames. Even when on a skateboard or in a car, a solid 60 throughout. Now, one thing I was actually worried about in this remake was how Frank was going to control. If you remember the trailers, and if you remember my Off the Dome video, that Frank looks a little wonky when controlling. It looks like he has a lot more weight put behind him, and I was a little afraid that they were reusing some of Dead Rising 3's walk engine. Well, turns out they weren't. Frank feels completely different than how Nick Ramos controls in Dead Rising 3. In fact, Frank controls a little differently than even how he did in the original game. Here, Frank is a lot more floaty, and I do happen to like that. I am able to pull off jumps in this game that I am never able to pull off in the original game. Frank feels a lot heavier in the original game, so that was one change I noticed right out the bat. And with Frank being floaty, I know that kind of does take away from the realism a bit that the original game had, but I don't care. Frank is fun to control in this. Frank feels so good, in fact, that I've never felt more in control of him. In both games, there are a level up system that Frank will unlock more skills. Well, in the remake, I'm actually using all the skills Frank has. In the original game, they felt kind of clunky, and I really couldn't quite get a grip on how to use them. Well, here in the remake, I am pulling off all kinds of stuff. I love doing the jump kick, then doing the sweep kick right after, wall kicks, drop slams. Frank feels so good in this game that I'd rather use his moves than using a standard weapon I find around the mall. It's just a lot more effective. Now, the survivors have gotten touched up. I have noticed that since playing the original game. Some of them are a lot more reliable than they were in the original game. And I mean, good, that's pretty much what I expected to hear and see from a remake, so they got that down. But I'm not going to beat around the bush here and say that they're all perfect, because they're not, because some of them operate just like they did back in the original Dead Rising. Or at least some of them did in my instance. Some of the early survivors that you saved, mostly around the Alfresca Plaza, ran straight into the convicts as I was trying to navigate them. A lot of them would just run straight into the convicts or in me mid-swing and I'll end up killing them. it was just super frustrating, just like it was in the original game. But then most of the other survivors I was able to save no problem. In fact, in this game I was able to save a lot more survivors than I was in the original game, whether that be because I wasn't aware of some of their locations or the one here just feels so much better to control. I'm not sure, but it was really frustrating to deal with nonetheless. And speaking of frustrating, I think that's enough good for a while. I think it's time to start getting into some of the bad shit that I hate about this game. Well, not really stuff that I hate about this game, but stuff that I'm just like, why did you have this? This wasn't an issue in the original. The zombies. While every single one does look great and they do look good from the RE treatment, their grab distance is some straight bullshit. It doesn't matter where I'll be on the map, it doesn't matter what I'm doing on the map, it seems they always find a way to break my animation and grab a hold of me. You'll notice this several times throughout my footage where I'll just be running and a zombie will straight up grab me. It's like they have some kind of magnetic AI attached to them where they can just easily grab Frank and get him at any time he wants. This was not an issue in the original Dead Rising game. I was able to maneuver around the zombies relatively easy. I mean, they would still grab me from time to time, but nothing this egregious. It's because of this I started using the skateboard even more. I never used the skateboard in the original game, but here in the remake, because of how aggressive the zombies are, the skateboard makes maneuvering a lot easier. Now, a big controversy about this game was the removal of the erotica genre for the pictures. People were claiming that this was just a downright stupid decision to remove it and it didn't really need to be necessary. And I agree. Now personally, before I started looking up stuff about the first Dead Rising game, I never really used the camera feature. In fact, a lot of times I would just downright ignore it, pretending it didn't even exist. But I bet you can go through the entirety of this game, minus a few survivors, and not use your camera at all. Because quite frankly, it's not that big of a deal. Listen, people are going to take pictures of girls anyway in the game if they're horny enough. It's just something that's going to happen. Because guess what, people? Sexy women exist, and there's nothing you can do about it, and it's okay for people to put them in their video games. And honestly, looking back at the situation, removing the feature just draws more eyes to it. So if they just left it in, I doubt it would have been that big of a deal. Maybe for some dumb feminist it would have been. Also, if it's such a big deal, then why did they leave in the photo mission from the original game where the whole point of it was to take erotica photos? That mission is still here. It's still fully playable in its original state. Just now you get a different genre. Okay then.
I can feel your eyes on me.
Perfect.
One thing I can't wrap my head around are the rebalance of the weapons and nerfing some. Yeah, a lot of the weapons in this game feel kind of different than how they did in the original game. For example, the baseball bat has a completely different swing arc than it did in the original game, causing a lot of open time for me to get grabbed by zombies. The small chainsaws in this game, which in the original used to be a fucking godsend, now are nerfed and sometimes take up to 3 hits to kill a zombie. And the shotgun, which this one's not really that bad if you think about it, it's actually kind of good, especially in situations, but the shotgun feels like a rifle. Like, there are times where you could just aim the shotgun all the way down to somewhere at the map and you'll get the shot. Like, look at this fucking moment in the Carlito boss fight. I pulled the shotgun out, I was all the way on the other side of the food court, and I shot him all the way on the other side, and that killed him. I don't know how I did that. So yeah, I figured the shotguns were good, so I kept a couple on me all times during the playthrough. Also, what the hell is this? A this way sign? And that signature eye-catching yellow that these RE Engine games love to use. Bad, Capcom. Bad. No. We don't do that. And holy shit, I don't know what they did to the soldiers in this game, but they gave their AI some like god tier aiming, god tier shooting. It's so unreal. The soldiers are way harder in the remake for some reason. I imagine a newcomer finally getting to this spot and just getting their shit kicked in, causing them to go, I'm done. I don't want to play this anymore. And you want to know why I think that? Because me, a person who's been playing this game for years, had such a difficult time navigating through shit I've done several times before. Yeah, if anything needed nerf in this game, it's those goddamn soldiers. Those soldiers are way too hard, and I feel bad for any poor sucker who gets to this point and have no idea about it. Because I tell you, when you get stun locked, and you will get stun locked by these guys, you'll have 2 of them at you constantly shooting you, so quickly try to navigate, get out of there. I had to pick them off one by one from a very large distance, and I had to do this constantly, kind kind of honestly bringing the last part of the game to a drag. Now, I could keep going with some more bad things, but I feel like that's going to get into the nitpick territory, so I'm just going to leave it be. And honestly, I have to admit, a lot of these things are only bad because I've played the original so much that all this new stuff and all this stuff they nerfed feels really jarring. But I'm going to quit there because, quite frankly, the fact that we even got this game at all is pretty amazing. DRDR, grand scope of things, is a pretty solid title that I think you should pick up. I pre-ordered my copy, so I got all these cool, fancy costumes that you get to play around with. Cool things about these costumes is that when you switch into them, the mall music actually changes to their respective costume. Now, you have a choice to turn this on and off if you want to, so I wanted to rock out with the Stars outfit or the RPD outfit. Something about Frank West in those outfits, man, it looks pretty snazzy, I ain't gonna lie. But a weird glitch happened where I couldn't turn the music off. See, I wanted to play with the Stars outfit or the RPD outfit, but listen to the Dead Rising 1 soundtrack because I find the mob music is quite pleasing. But I couldn't do that, so I switched back to the normal outfit where I still don't think the problem was fixed. So I just sucked it up and dealt with this one song the entire time. I want them to fix this, and that might not be that big of a deal, but I don't want to restart the game every time just to hear the mall music if I fuck up with a costume. But the costumes overall are a cool addition to this game and just something to give you more wacky, goofy pleasureness. Which includes the OG version of Frank. And at first I thought this was really cool, and it still is, but looking at it again, it looks really weird in this remake. It's like they animated it like they animated the new model, and I just don't think it meshes very well. But I did play around with it for a little bit, and it was just cool to see OG Frank inside the game. However, it was just weird for me to see this OG Frank and have the new voice actor's voice come out of it.
Well, we're up to our necks in zombies. Yeah, I think I appreciate the situation just fine.
Now, I wanted to add this at the end here, not only because I'm scatterbrained and out of order, but because I didn't really get to talk about it yet as well, so we're going to talk about it now. Going into this game, I was really concerned, again, with how Frank looked. I thought he looked too weird, but after playing this game, he fits into this world so good, and I actually like the way Frank looks. And that doesn't just go for Frank, I actually kind of like how everyone looks in this game. I don't think there was a single bad redesign in this game. Well, besides maybe a controversial one with the stereotype Asian butcher, but I don't want to get into that territory. The facial animation is just downright amazing. It looks so good and the characters emote properly, and big thumbs up to the people who animated this. Not only that, but the graphics on everybody are so real. It's eerie. You can see like the veins in Jesse's hands. You can see the wrinkles in people's skin. You can see the leather dents in Frank's jacket. The amount of detail they went to put into every single small little crack is stunning. And I have to say, the voice actors did a good job too. Now, I'll always prefer the original Frank and the original Brad, but I have to say, everyone else pretty much did a top-notch job. Even Frank did a great job. Brad, on the other hand, he was a little soft on his lines. I don't know. Maybe that was just me on his delivery.
Well, thanks for your help. The name's Brad.
I'm Frank West, photojournalist. And right now, I'd rather have an explanation than your thanks, Brad.
Another cool thing is that Otis finally gets a voice actor, so that was cool to hear him for the first time.
If you want to change into some fresh studs, just take what you need from the clothing shops out there.
The zombies, I know I talked about the zombies and my frustration with them, but they do look really good in this game. They look amazing and so horrifying as you want a zombie to look. However, I did notice through my playthrough there are a lot of repeat zombies, especially in the normal mall. That right there kind of was immersion breaking, but I mean, I really didn't care anyway, since they were all dying anyways, or, you know, whatever. So yeah, everyone sounds great here, and everyone looks great here. Yeah. Especially Isabella, man, she looks good as fuck. Overall, the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster is a solid time and definitely worth your money. I know not all of us can just go on Twitter and start complaining about it and Capcom give us a free copy, so you will have to pay for yours, unfortunately. But I do feel it's worth your money, whether you buy the base version or whether you buy the deluxe version for $10 extra. Either way, you can't go wrong. With the $10 extra, you get the costumes, and it's pretty sick. And I know I had some gripes with the game, but overall, I do like what we ended up with here. Now, I'm not gonna say this is gonna outright replace the original. I feel like both have merits, kinda just like the last Capcom remake with Resident Evil 4. There are just some things that both versions offer that each other don't, so there's still reason to play them. Whether it be how the zombies felt in the original voice actors, or maybe the new graphics of the new one, there's something there for everyone if they want to get their fill of Dead Rising. And amongst other things, it is just nice to put both of these on a shelf right next to each other, and both of them hold value. Well, Danksters, that is going to do it for me today. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. We finally got a remake of the first Dead Rising game. Something I have been wanting for a while, something a lot of us have been wanting for a while, and Capcom finally delivered on it. And yeah, have you guys been playing it? I know I've been playing it. I actually recently just finished it at the time of this recording, which is why I wanted to come on here, make a video. It's all done. I got all the footage I needed. But have you guys been playing it, and are you guys appreciating it? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll get to you when I get to you. Also, down in the description, I have my socials, you know, my Insta, my X, my TikTok. They're all down there, you know, go follow me, all at Storm Dankers. Also, something I just started up a couple weeks ago, I have a Discord channel, and you can go down there. Please go down to the description, join Discord, and chat with us. We'd love to have you, and we're trying to get some more people on there, so yeah, the more the merrier. But also, while you're down there, why don't you hit that subscribe button and the bell for post notifications, because I wouldn't want you to miss a single upload of mine, and it takes like 10 seconds, and I know you wouldn't want to miss out on anything I did, right? So yeah, go ahead, click that subscribe button. You know, it would be worth it. And for those extra daredevils out there, I do have a Patreon, and the link to that will be in the description down below. Feel free to donate. I'm only asking $1, and all of that will go directly back into the channel. Alright guys, I'm gonna get out of here. We still got more spooky month to go through, but just remember, you're not gonna get this kind of content anywhere else, and you wanna know why? Because that's the Dankers difference.